sound. Ringo TV. Ringo TV. Ringo TV.
Welcome to another edition of Black Male Advice TV. I'm your host, Ringo. Make sure you click the like button, subscribe, and support the content. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Black Male Advice TV. I'm your host, Ringo, and today we have an interesting topic for you. As I said in my previous video, I want people to come forward for a little challenge. We have our first contestant on the show to be embarrassed in front of the show, in front of the media, in front of the people. We have Maurice Brown decided to have the balls to step into the lion's den. I gotta commend you for actually stepping up to the plate, but sadly, you're gonna have to be embarrassed. And it's unfortunate that this has to happen, but it's good for business. Because what this is going to show is that you don't know how to read and you're not thinking things through. You lack listening skills. Because I distinctly asked you to provide me with scripture that says that polygyny is sinful. You didn't provide that. Instead, because of your lack of reading comprehension skills, because you're thirsty for attention, because you refuse to actually read the Bible in its entirety from the beginning to the end, you just go on a search engine and just type in what you want to type to make a scripture say what you want it to say, you're not reading to understand. You see, as a child, I learned how to read to understand. See, anybody can read, but to read and understand what you're reading, that's the real issue here. And you, sir, you lack reading comprehension skills. So my hope is that through this lesson here, you will gain the understanding of what you post and not make such a mistake again, because it's very embarrassing to see grown men not follow instructions and not post evidence to substantiate their belief of polygyny being sinful. Being that you're the first, I was expecting a lot more out of you. I'm actually disappointed. I would expect you to come forward with some real evidence, but unfortunately you didn't. What Maurice Brown decided to post is 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 2. Now, again, religious folks, Christians and so forth, they always do this. They take one scripture, run with it. That's not how we work on Black Male Advice TV. We believe in context. We believe that when we're edifying a people, when we're teaching on a subject matter, you have to rightly divide the word and you have to bring forth understanding. This person thought they got me. Actually, you fell in my trap. You see, I'm not playing checkers, I'm playing chess. And you just lost. And now everybody's gonna know you don't know how to read. It's a damn shame, but somebody gotta do the dirty work. Are y'all ready for this? Well, let's go. Let's check this out. Maurice Brown, interesting person. He decided to step in the lion's den with an actual lion. Okay, Let's take a look at the scriptures. Let's gain some understanding, people. Check this out. 1 Timothy, we're going to read not from verse 2. We're going to read chapter 3, verse 1, all the way to 6, because we want understanding. All right? Okay. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 6. Verse 1. This is a true saying. If any man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. Pause. If any man desire. So before we even get to the other verses, if any man desire what? The office of a bishop. The office of a bishop. If any man desires the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. Okay, what are the requirements of this office? A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, amped to teach, not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Now, where in that scripture, ladies and gentlemen, does it say the practice of polygyny is sinful? It doesn't say that. You see, Marcus or Maurice, you failed. The scripture don't say the practice of polygyny is sinful. You lack reading comprehension skills, brother. Now, let's go to the scripture. It says, this is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. Now it's going to explain what are the requirements for being a bishop. A bishop then must be blameless, a man that's without fault, the husband of one wife. This is what Christians do. They see where it says one wife, they take that, and now they create a doctrine that says all men are supposed to be with one wife. Basic reading comprehension. Let me teach you something. When a sentence says the following, check this out. I'm going to teach you something. I'm going to teach you how to read to understand, because it's sad that grown men don't know how to read. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, the husband of one wife. A bishop, a bishop, a bishop, a bishop. What about a plumber? Maurice, what about a plumber? What about a carpenter? Do he supposed to be blameless, the husband of one wife? What about a mechanic? What about a flight attendant? What about a prophet? What about an evangelist? What about a missionary? What about a army vet? Are they supposed to be blameless, the husband of one wife? Because according to the scripture, it says, and I'm reading carefully, a bishop. Because from verse 1, it says, this is a true saying, if a man desire the office of a bishop, the office of a bishop, bishop, he desireth a great work, a work, which means the office of a bishop is a work that a man must fulfill. So we're not talking about all men. We're not talking about all men all over the earth. We're not talking about a doctrine of monogamy. We're not talking about none of that. We're talking about the office of a bishop. And it describes what that office represents, because it clearly goes on and it says, a bishop then must be blameless, a man that's without fault, the husband of one wife. Question: if monogamy is the norm, right, and everybody is practicing monogamy, why would the scripture tell you that if you want the office of a bishop, you must be the husband of one wife, if everyone in the culture and in that society had one wife? Maurice, you're not reading correctly. Come on, brother, you're embarrassing us. Well, you're embarrassing yourself. The scripture clearly says that a bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife. A bishop. Not every man, because every man don't desire the office of a bishop. So if a bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife, that scripture is not talking about all men. That scripture is not a doctrine to proclaim monogamy on all men. You know why the scripture suggests that a bishop be the husband of one wife? Because he have a great work to do with the church. And it's not even a commandment. That's a suggestion. Learn how to read, Maurice. You have to learn how to read. Please, brother. Don't do this to yourself. I hate the fact that you're being embarrassed, but you must learn how to read properly. A bishop is an occupation, a task, a job. And the requirements is that a bishop must be blameless, without fault, the husband of one wife. Not monogamy. But because a bishop have so much on his plate, he don't have time to have multiple wives. Why? Because he have to be vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given hospitality, amped to teach. Not one who is given wine, not a striker, not greedy for filthy lucre, patient, not a brawler, not covetous. He have to be one that ruleth his own house. Why? Why he got to do all of this? For what purpose? For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God? So this bishop is a man that's taking care of the church. This man already have a great responsibility, which means his time is occupied. You know, like when you're a brother and you're doing overtime, triple time, doing a double on your job, and you're not even at home. Well, in those days, a bishop was so committed to the church, so committed to the people, he didn't even have time literally to even have a wife. So the writer is making it clear that he's giving him a suggestion that, look, men in this culture, they all have multiple wives. But if you want this office, it's a great responsibility. It requires a lot of time. So if you're going to have a wife, I don't suggest you have multiple wives, even though that's your right. But I suggest you be the husband of one wife. Because if you have multiple wives, I don't think you can do this occupation of a bishop. Because you're going to be too occupied with pleasing your wives. Oh, you don't believe me? I didn't have this plan to do in this particular video, but I'm going to see if I can pull this up. Let me see if I can get this. Let me see. I'm going to see if I could pull this up real fast. I didn't have it planned, but I'm going to try to bring this up. Let me go to Bible Gateway. See if I could bring this up. Because I want to show you how wrong you are, even though I already did this, but I'm going to show you how wrong you are. Let me put my music on in the background. How he may please his wife. It's sad that I have to embarrass these type of brothers publicly, but you need to be embarrassed. Because when you step in the lion's den with men of truth and have the audacity to think you can come in in my comment section, post scriptures as if though you bring in truth. Sadly mistaken. You ain't bringing anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how wrong you actually are. Now, I'm going to post something up on the screen. Let me get this thing going here. Let me see. Bear with me as I set up this particular verse of scripture, because what I want to show is to rightly divide the word of truth in hopes that this brother learn to read to understand and rightly divide the word of truth to avoid embarrassing himself publicly. Because I already told you already, I'm going to embarrass you. I am going to embarrass you. Now, let me bring this set of scriptures in. We're going to read this here that's on the screen because I want to prove a point about why the writer suggests that a man has one wife if he want the office of a bishop, mind you. 1 Timothy is not a scripture that proclaims monogamy on all men all over the earth. No. Verse 1. This is a true saying, if a man desire the office, if he desire. So if a man don't desire the office of a bishop, then he don't have to have one wife. Do you see how when you know how to read? Do you see that, Maurice? I hear crickets. Verse 1. If a man desire the office of a bishop. Okay, what if a man don't desire the office of a bishop, Maurice? Then that means he don't desire that work. Not only that, if he don't desire the office of a bishop, then he don't have to be the husband of one wife. That means he can have multiple wives. And again, Maurice, if the men in the culture within that time all practice monogamy, why would the writer suggest that the man should be the husband of one wife if everybody had one wife? Doesn't make any logical sense. All right. Now, why is the writer suggesting one wife? I'm going to tell you why. According to the book of 1 Corinthians, right? 1 Corinthians, we're going to read, let's see. Let's just start from verse 30. The key scripture that I want you to focus on is verse 33. We're going to read from verse 30. And they that weep as though they weep not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not. Verse 31, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. But I would have you, without carefulness, he that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. Pause. Now, that being said, Maurice, pay very close attention. But I would have you, without carefulness, he that is unmarried, the man that have no wife, careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. Verse 33, but he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. So now, when we pull back up, a bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife. You know why? Because a man that has wives or have a wife, his responsibility is his house. His responsibility is caring for the things of the world, how he may please his wife or his wives. So the writer is suggesting rather than you have multiple wives practicing polygyny, which is going to occupy all your time, you won't be devoted to the things of the Most High if you're focused on your family. So my suggestion, not a commandment, my suggestion is that you be the husband of one wife. Because when we go back to the scriptures, it's very clear. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. Men that are married are focused on their family. Men that have multiple wives have a responsibility to their families. Do you understand me? Verse 34, there is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world. What things? How she may please her husband. Do you see that? When a woman is unmarried, she can be devoted to the Most High. She can pray profusely. She can be in the church. She could be in the ministry. She could be doing all these different things for the Most High because she's not devoted to a man. But the woman who is a wife, she careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. So a man that have a wife, he can't devote himself to the things of the Most High 100%. So the writer, when you understand how to read, is suggesting to all of the men who desire the office of a bishop, he must be the blameless, the husband of one wife. Why? I just explained why. Because he can't devote all his time if he have multiple wives. He got too much responsibility. So the writer is given the suggestion, not a commandment. Notice, there is no commandment in the book of 1 Timothy for men to take an oath of monogamy. There is no commandment. That's a suggestion for men who want the office of a bishop. Learn how to read. Don't embarrass yourself. Because nowhere in that verse of scripture did it say the practice of polygyny is sinful. No, it did not. That verse of scripture gives the qualifications and the requirements for men that want the office of a bishop. That's it. That's all it does. That's all it said. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. A bishop then must be blameless. What if you don't want to be a bishop? What if you don't want to be a bishop, Maurice? Are you held to this standard if you don't want to be a bishop? Absolutely not. Because it says if a man desires the office of a bishop. Okay, I don't want to be a bishop. Do I have to have one wife? Not at all. Because all men in that time practiced polygyny. In the New Testament, everybody was practicing polygyny. That's why he's suggesting a man have one wife if he want the office of a bishop. So don't you dare try to implant this scripture on all men as if though all men are supposed to have one wife, because that verse of scripture did not teach that all men are supposed to have one wife. That scripture implies for men who want the office of a bishop in the church. It's a suggestion, not a commandment, a suggestion for a man to have one wife because it's a lot of work. And if a man have multiple wives, he's not under obligation to be subjected to that type of work, because his duty and responsibility is that of his house in terms of being a provider, a protector, a leader, and a teacher at home. But if you want that office of a bishop, it would be good if you only have one wife, because technically speaking, the men that were really the type that they want for bishops are men that had no wives. Why? Because when you go back to the scripture, I would have you, without carefulness, that he He that is unmarried careth for the things that belongeth to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. When a man is not married and have no wife, he's able to care for the things of the Most High 100% with no distractions, because he's not thinking about sex. He's not thinking about women. He's not thinking about any companionship. He's not having no children. He's totally devoted. Remember how Paul was? When Paul said, I would have that all men were like me. Remember that? Remember when Paul said, I would have that all men were like me, to have that gift, to not even be worried about no woman, but just to be devoted to the things of the Most High? Well, all men don't have that gift, Maurice. So, with that being said, I think I've said enough. I think it's pretty clear that you're wrong, and you've never proven anything. You just embarrassed yourself. Who's next? Who is next to embarrass themselves? Before you come on this platform thinking that you're knowledgeable, make sure you read the whole Bible from the beginning to the end. And again, I ask, bring forth evidence that says the practice of polygyny is sinful. Don't take one scripture and run with it and give no understanding, because I just proved you wrong by scripture, by reading in context. And anybody viewing, they can't debate what I just said. Only a fool would dare tell me I'm wrong after I broke down what the verses mean. A bishop is a job, a task, a requirement. And the scripture is very clear. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop. So if you desire the office of a bishop, these are the requirements. A bishop must then be blameless, the husband of one wife. Question, for all that have reading skills, was that verse a commandment from God for all men to have only one wife? Nope. That wasn't even a commandment. That's a suggestion, not a commandment. If you want the office of a bishop, okay. You must have one wife. Why? Because you can't, if you're going to be devoted to the things of the Most High, you don't need distractions. Having a family, wife, children, all of that can be a burden when you're trying to focus on the things of the Most High. It would be better if you had no wife, like Paul. So, with that being said, I've proven you wrong. This don't even make no sense I continue going on. I'm just, beating a dead horse. Next. Who's next? Who is next to be embarrassed? Hey, somebody got to do this dirty work. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going to title this video, but it is what it is. Next. Who is next? Next. Who is next that don't know how to read? Come forward and prove that polygyny is sinful according to the Bible. Bring chapter and verse. Don't bring emotions. Don't nitpick and pull scripture out of context. Bring facts by rightly dividing the word of truth. If you can't do that, don't embarrass yourself, because I will embarrass you. Learn how to read, ladies and gentlemen, because if you dare challenge the truth, you will be exposed as a liar, as a fraud, and as one who don't know how to read. It's a damn shame that I got to do this work, but somebody have to make the people know the truth. So with that said, I'm going to sign off. This is Black Male Advice TV, the only channel on YouTube bringing you the truth, 100% raw and uncut. I'm out. Peace.
If you like our content, consider supporting via Cash App at $RINGOTVRAW. Become a patron on patreon.com for exclusive video content not shown on YouTube. You could also support through PayPal at paypal.me/RingoTVRaw. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified of new content. follow me on Instagram at RingoTVRaw.
This is Black Male Advice TV, the only channel on YouTube bringing you the truth 100% raw and uncut. I'm out.